Every year, our family does a big Thanksgiving dinner, and we all typically bring a dish or two. My sister, who's a lovely person in every other way, insists on cooking something homemade every time. The issue? She's not a great cook. And I don't mean just not great. I mean she has somehow managed to turn classic dishes into borderline inedible creations. For context, last Thanksgiving, she showed up with her special recipe, stuffing that was over-seasoned with random spices like cinnamon and cardamom. It was dry, and the flavors were confusing and totally off for stuffing. Only one person took a small bite, and the rest went untouched. Another year, she brought a green bean casserole that had some kind of strange, chewy texture. She later admitted she used coconut milk and almond flour to experiment. No one wanted seconds of that either. This year, I'm hosting Thanksgiving. Since I'm responsible for putting it all together, I wanted to keep the menu consistent so that people could actually enjoy a cohesive meal. I thought I'd avoid drama by asking her to bring non-food items instead, like wine, soda, or even some flowers. I explained to her, very kindly I thought, that I just wanted to make things easy and streamlined, and I'd handle the main dishes. But she didn't take it well. She got offended and told me I was being controlling and shutting her out of the family gathering. She then accused me of making her feel inadequate and said that Thanksgiving is about everyone contributing, not me deciding what's acceptable. I told her that everyone appreciates her effort, but that she could contribute in other ways and still be part of it. She doubled down and said she's bringing her famous green bean casserole whether I like it or not. Now, my mom and a couple of other family members have chimed in, saying I should just let her bring whatever she wants because it's Thanksgiving and it's the thought that counts. They're acting like I'm committing some huge offense by wanting the food to be enjoyable for everyone and not have random experimental dishes that no one will eat. But I feel like I'm just trying to keep the meal enjoyable and, frankly, edible. I don't think it's wrong to want guests to actually enjoy the food, especially since I'm putting in a lot of effort to host. Am I really being unreasonable here? Now for a few comments. Crystal Queen 3000 said, YTA, it's one dish that everybody knows is bad and won't eat. Why is it a big deal? I replied, I get where you're coming from, but it's not just one dish. It's every year, and every year she brings multiple dishes with strange combinations that no one eats. And it ends up feeling awkward because she keeps pushing people to try her food, and you're stuck pretending it's not that bad or trying to avoid it altogether. It also feels like a waste of time, effort, and money, especially since it's supposed to be a big family meal where we enjoy the food together. I just want people to actually look forward to the meal, not feel obligated to pretend they're enjoying her experiments. I didn't think it'd be a big deal to ask her to bring something else. It's not like I'm uninviting her, but maybe I could have handled it differently. Choice Second 5587 was curious and asked, I'm just super curious what other things she's made. If you're willing to expand on a few more, I want to know how bad we're talking here. I responded, oh, buckle up, because there's a list. Here are some highlights from past family gatherings. 1. Thanksgiving 2019. She made a spicy cranberry sauce that had whole chunks of jalapeno in it. She insisted it was elevating the flavor profile, but it ended up making people's mouths burn while eating turkey. We tried to pair it with other stuff on the plate, but it was a no-go. Number 2. Christmas 2020. She brought a fusion mac and cheese with wasabi and horseradish mixed in. Let's just say it was a very unexpected flavor to experience in a traditionally creamy, comforting dish. There were some coughs and watery eyes at the table that night. 3. Easter 2021. She made a carrot salad that had shredded carrots, raisins, and sardines. She claimed it was based on some Mediterranean recipe, but I'm pretty sure no Mediterranean grandma would approve. Number 4. Last Thanksgiving. This was the infamous cinnamon cardamom stuffing. She wanted it to be warm and aromatic, but it ended up tasting like a holiday candle. The texture was also super dry, and even though she noticed no one was touching it, she blamed it on us not appreciating new flavors. 5. Family barbecue this past summer. She did a barbecue tofu thing that had an odd vinegar peanut butter sauce. I don't know what cuisine inspired that, but it didn't belong anywhere near a grill. People tried to be polite, but most of it ended up going home with her. So, yeah, this isn't just me being picky. She's made some real adventures out of classic dishes, and I'm genuinely nervous for what she's planning with this whole Thanksgiving trio experience. Natural War 1261 suggested, let her bring it. Maybe she's been practicing and it's good. If not, maybe she'll get the hint. I replied, I see what you're saying, but honestly, she's been practicing for years, and it hasn't improved. If anything, she's getting more experimental and doubling down on weird flavors and substitutions. And I don't think she'll take the hint. She's pretty proud of her cooking and genuinely seems to think we're just not appreciating her creativity. If I thought it would lead to her realizing it's not working, I'd let it go. But instead, she just gets upset if people don't eat it, and it becomes this whole thing. I'm just trying to keep things simple and enjoyable for everyone without the awkwardness. Maybe there's a middle ground I'm missing? Impressive Arm 2563 offered a soft my prisem. You're the idiot, saying, just let her bring what she wants. It's not hurting you. You don't have to eat it. It might even be fun to pretend it's the best thing ever and throw some away when she isn't looking to make her feel good. It could be part of the traditional holiday experience. I responded, I get that, and maybe I am overthinking it. It just feels like a small battle I'd rather not have every year, especially when I'm hosting and trying to make sure everyone genuinely enjoys the meal. I mean, I can definitely go with the smile and nod approach for the sake of family peace, but it does feel a little exhausting to pretend every time. I guess I just don't want to encourage her thinking that everyone actually loves it, especially when it's clearly not working. But you're right, it's just food, and maybe I should focus more on making her feel included than on the menu being perfect. I'll try to keep this in mind and relax about it. Now for the update the next day. Update. All right, well, things have escalated fast. Thanks to everyone who offered advice. I tried to compromise, but it's already turning into a whole thing, and Thanksgiving is still a few weeks away. After our last conversation, my sister was being pretty cagey about what she planned to make, so I reached out to my mom, hoping she could help smooth things over. Instead, she got defensive, saying I'm overthinking and that it's just one dish. I told her I wasn't sure it was just one dish anymore, especially after hearing about my sister's grocery haul, including canned oysters and edible glitter. Then my mom let slip that my sister has been hard at work on some creative menu she's planning as her Thanksgiving surprise. Apparently, she's been telling the family group chat, which I wasn't included in, by the way, that I'm being controlling and that she wants to expand everyone's palate with something truly unique. To top it off, my cousin sent me a screenshot from the group chat where my sister said she's bringing not one, but 3 dishes to Thanksgiving now. She's calling them her Thanksgiving trio experience, complete with their own place settings and little menu cards she's designing. I'm officially panicking because I have no idea what she's planning to serve, and from what I've heard, it's not remotely traditional. Half the family thinks I'm overreacting, while the other half is texting me with things like, is she really bringing glittered sweet potatoes? I feel stuck. If I try to control it anymore, I'm the bad guy. But if I don't, Thanksgiving might turn into a tasting event for my sister's avant-garde cooking. So yeah, Thanksgiving is weeks away, and it's already become a family spectacle. I don't know whether to brace myself or just preemptively order pizza. Now for a few comments. When told to let the sister take charge for the meal, the original poster said, haha, I have to admit, that idea is very tempting. Letting her take the spotlight with her Thanksgiving trio experience while I sit back and sip on a glass of wine sounds like one way to make a memorable holiday, especially if everyone gets to see exactly what I was trying to save them from. It would be kind of poetic to just lean into the chaos and let her creations be the star of the show. For better or worse, I have a feeling it would definitely be a Thanksgiving to remember, even if I'd have to brace myself for the family reactions. It's like a mix of malicious compliance and hands-off hosting, and I kind of love the idea of just throwing in some edible arrangements, a ton of drinks, and calling it a day. And yeah, if it all goes sideways, I'll have plenty of remember that one Thanksgiving stories to pull out in the future. Thanks for the laugh and the wild suggestion. This might just be a holiday fantasy, but it's definitely a fun one to think about. Then Inigo's left hand said, "Honestly, I think you should just let her do this. It can be a new family tradition. Your sister brings something weird and inedible. You all ignore it and poke fun at her terrible cooking later. Is this really something you want to create drama over?" The original poster replied, "You're right. Maybe I've been looking at this all wrong. Letting her bring her unique dishes could actually become a funny little tradition if we let it. I mean, every family has its quirks, and maybe this is just one of ours. Instead of stressing about it, I could just embrace it and let her dishes be part of the Thanksgiving lore that we joke about later. It's definitely not worth creating unnecessary drama over, and if we all just go with it, I bet it'll be less awkward and maybe even entertaining in its own way. Thanks for the reminder to just roll with it and not take it so seriously." Then Jenny BCT said, "Ooh, please update us after Thanksgiving. I can't wait to hear about her culinary experiments." The original poster replied, "Haha, don't worry, I'll definitely keep you all posted. I'm honestly half curious and half terrified to see what she ends up bringing. If past holidays are any indicator, we might be in for some very creative dishes. And I have a feeling the family reactions alone could make for quite the story. So stay tuned. If anything wild goes down, I'll be back with all the juicy details after Thanksgiving. Fingers crossed for a low-drama meal, but let's be real, I'm probably not that lucky." Now for the update. Thanksgiving is now just a little over 2 weeks away, and somehow things have escalated even further than I thought possible. I thought maybe my sister's Thanksgiving trio experience would be the peak of the drama. Well, turns out I was wrong. Since the last update, my sister has become fully committed to making her dishes the main attraction. She's been dropping hints in the family group chat, which I'm still not included in, but shout out to my cousin for the screenshots about how this Thanksgiving will be one to remember and calling it her Thanksgiving debut. She's apparently been referring to herself as the Thanksgiving head chef and has hinted that she's bringing some kind of culinary surprise centerpiece that will transform the whole experience. From what I can piece together, she's planning a main statement dish in addition to her original 3 side dishes. I'm picturing something equally bizarre, but on a much larger scale. And honestly, I'm terrified. If her green bean casserole was already pushing it, I can't even imagine what she thinks is worthy of being the centerpiece. Then, to make things even weirder, my mom texted me privately and suggested that I step back this year and let my sister shine, since she's so excited about her contributions. My mom thinks if we just give her this moment, it'll make her happy, and she'll get it out of her system. She even hinted that maybe I should focus on decorations and drinks instead of the main dishes, which feels like an attempt to turn hosting over to my sister without actually saying it. So now I'm left with a choice. Go along with my mom's plan and let my sister essentially hijack Thanksgiving, or keep pushing back and risk a family showdown. I just wanted a nice Thanksgiving with dishes everyone would enjoy, but it seems like I'm either about to hand over the whole meal to her or prepare for some serious drama. Thanksgiving isn't even here yet, and it already feels like a circus. I'm half tempted to just sit back and see what chaos unfolds, but part of me is still worried about subjecting the whole family to whatever artistic statement she has planned. Now for a few comments. Wife of Bath 1984 said, "I cannot figure out why you still haven't canceled hosting. If she wants to take over, let her do so in her own space. Why would you go through all those trouble to host your family when your sister is actively planning sabotage? I would have already bowed out." The original poster replied, "Honestly, I'm starting to feel the same way. At first, I thought I could manage the situation by setting boundaries. But it's pretty clear my sister is determined to turn Thanksgiving into her personal stage, no matter what I do. At this point, it's not even about the food. It's about the sheer amount of effort I'm putting in just to have it overshadowed by her artistic vision. Bowing out does sound tempting, and I'm seriously considering it. Letting her host would give her the spotlight she clearly wants and I wouldn't have to deal with the stress of trying to balance everyone's feelings. I guess I've just been holding out because I love hosting and didn't want to let her take that away from me. But maybe it's time to throw in the towel and let her take the reins in her own house. You're definitely giving me something to think about. Thanks. Then Too Complex said, just let her do it and don't cook a damn thing. Oh, and eat before anyone shows up. The original poster replied, haha, that would be one way to handle it, right? Just let her have her Thanksgiving head chef moment and show up with a full stomach, no stress, and zero cooking on my part. I'm honestly so tempted to go this route. If she wants the spotlight that badly, I might as well let her handle everything and watch the chaos unfold from the sidelines. It might even be kind of satisfying to see her realize how much goes into hosting, especially if her creations don't quite go over as she hopes. Thanks for the idea. This might just be the perfect hands-off Thanksgiving. Am I the idiot for demanding my cheating husband pack his bags and leave after I caught him with my best friend? My husband is cheating on me with our best friend. I recently found out that my husband, 42, is cheating on me with our married best friend, 32. She is the godmother to our 4 children. They don't know that I know, but I caught them making out at the end of our driveway when he was seeing her off after dinner with our family. We live on a small acreage, and the driveway is a long way off from the main house. She had forgotten some crockery at the house, and I decided to walk it over because, for some reason, the two of them always took a while to say goodbye. Now I know why. That's when I saw them lit by her car's headlights, making out in the front seat with our best friend straddling my husband. In shock, I didn't know whether to throw her Pyrex at the car or just walk away. I decided the latter and was too shocked to cry or be angry. When my husband got back, I had to pretend like everything was normal. I know that it's stupid, but I couldn't sleep that night and decided to go through his phone. She was obviously under a pseudonym, but I found a handful of their messages dating 2 or 3 years. Her husband doesn't know. He's currently posted overseas as a diplomat. I'm sick with rage and betrayal. I'm lost and have no idea what steps to take next. Now for a few relevant comments. One commenter suggested collecting proof before reacting, saying it would give options. I replied, I want to know too if her husband has any suspicions without telling him. There are a lot of messages exchanged between them. Pictures have been deleted, but I'm assuming they were nudes. My husband tried to bury their conversation in archives, but I found it, and there's enough there for me to be able to screenshot when I have another chance. He's conveniently got a work trip on Friday. I'll ask my now ex-best friend if she's available. If she's not, I think I might know why, but need hard proof. Another commenter expressed sympathy and advised collecting proof and possibly getting a lawyer. I was grateful for the advice and support. Now for an update. I didn't expect this much support. It's really overwhelming. Just to clarify a few things. This is a private account I created just for this post away from my usual account because I was scared it would be traced back to me. I want to remain anonymous as much as I can. I don't live in the US, but in Australia. Technically, I can't file for divorce immediately as you need to be separated for 1 year and 1 day to file officially. My now ex-best friend just recently returned to the country. Her father has cancer after being posted with her husband overseas. The dinner was to welcome her home, and what a welcome. There were some comments here about the headlights illuminating them. Sorry, I meant overhead lights. As to what I'm going to do now, a part of me just wants to confront my husband and see what lame excuse he has. But I need to get away from him. This level of betrayal physically hurts. I can't help but think of all the times we spent together over the years and for how long our families were fooled. My mind is going crazy, thinking about when she was single and he would rescue her from some bad date, or the times they were alone in my house when the kids and I were out. How irrationally angry he was when he found out she had a boyfriend, then chose to marry him. Thinking back on it, the two of them disappeared at her wedding. When I asked him where he was, he said he needed to reassure her that she had done the right thing. I feel so sick thinking of these things. Another update. Thank you, everyone, for your concern and advice. As of tomorrow, my husband is out of town. I've tried really hard to act normal around my now ex-best friend, but it's proving difficult, and I feel sick. I have been telling both of them that I've caught some terrible bug and just not feeling myself. While my husband is out of town for the next few days, my sister-in-law, who is the only other person who knows, my brother's wife, will help me pack important documents and store them somewhere my husband doesn't know about. I've organized for my kids to stay with them for a week while I sort my stuff out. I've spoken to a family lawyer, and they have told me that the best way to start the separation procedure is to no longer be living under the same roof. I'm fortunate in that most of our assets are also in my name, and the land our house is on was gifted to us by my parents. I'm planning to kick him out after his trip, but before that, I want to catch them both in the act again. Have some hard proof, send it to the ex-friend's husband, and get the ball rolling for moving on with my life. I'll update with what happens after the confrontation. A final update, my husband came home 2 nights ago from his trip. While he was gone, I had organized a lot of the important documents, like financials, birth certificates, passports, anything that he could potentially use to try and get more than what he deserves. They are now safely stored, and my kids have been staying with their aunt and uncle for the past few days. I had packed all my husband's things, and he has been really good at keeping his tracks clean because there was no evidence of his affair within his stuff. I placed all his belongings in the garage, ready for the confrontation with him. I was super nervous because I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision. Once he came home and I remembered seeing him kissing our best friend, I remembered the deep hurt they had caused. I was in our kitchen when he came home, and he knew straight away something was wrong. During that week, I had been distant and had barely answered his texts and screened his calls. I did answer every now and again and gave the kids a chance to speak to their dad. He asked me why I hadn't been responding to his texts, and he tried to kiss me. But I turned away, and before I knew it, the first things that came out of my mouth were, "I want a separation." I have to admit that he didn't look very surprised when I said it. He nodded his head and said, "What do you know?" Which was just a punch in the gut because I wanted him to deny it or say something like it was a one-off thing. I asked him to tell me everything, like when did it start? And he said they started about 10 years ago. At first, it was flirtatious messaging and a sneaky kiss in the office when they briefly worked together, and the affair was on and off. She apparently always felt guilty, and her way out of that was to marry the next man that was interested in her and proposed. He admitted that they had intimacy on her wedding day, and when he is out of town, they meet. At this point, I couldn't breathe, and I was sobbing. I hated that the next words out of my mouth were, "Did you even ever love me?" He hesitated and said, "Yes, of course," but he was never in love with me the way he was with her. I cleared my throat and had said to him that he should tell her husband. There is no point hiding it anymore. I told him that all his stuff was in the garage and he can find somewhere else to stay. I let him know that I have spoken to a family lawyer, and I told him that when I feel ready, and only when I feel ready will we see each other again and talk about the future arrangement with the kids. I said any further communication can be done through my sister-in-law or my brother. I said he is allowed to see the kids, but only at their place. I am, of course, wanting full custody of the children because it hurts too much to give him anything at this point. He agreed to all my points because he knew he was in the wrong. He tried to say sorry, and then I absolutely lost my shoot and screamed, "No freaking no way are you sorry. For 10 freaking years, you have both deceived everyone we know. Please take your shoot and leave and tell that woman you have been freaking for 10 years that I do not ever want to see her freaking face again." Certainly not my shining moment, but also a culmination of all the hurt and anger over the last few weeks that they have caused. I have no intention of talking to my ex-best friend, or really to my soon-to-be ex-husband, until I have had the time to grieve. So thank you, community, for the encouragement and advice. Hope I can heal and move on from this. Now for the 1-year update. Thank you, everyone who has been messaging over the last year to see how I'm going and asking for an update. It's been a crazy, painful year, but our divorce has been finalized, and I'm free. My ex-husband and my ex-best friend, as no surprise, are now in an actual relationship after the ex-best friend's husband found out about the affair. He divorced her, and since then we have met up for coffee to check in on each other and our mental health. He's been great sending encouraging messages, and he lives overseas, and from his Facebook updates has started dating again. So I'm very happy for him. The legal and custody battles had been fairly stressful, but the ex-husband agreed to all my terms. The custody of the children was the only thing he really fought for. I have custody of the kids, and he sees them on the weekends. The kids, including myself, have all been going to therapy separately. My ex-husband wants to see them more, and during school break, the kids have the choice to stay with him or me. They have been good about it, and stay with him for a week or so, and then back to their mummy. Apart from necessary conversation, I steer away from my ex-husband and the ex-best friend. It still hurts so much, and I understand that it will take some time to heal. But I am letting go, because I don't want them to have that level of influence over my life. I decided to sell the property we were living in and move closer to family and friends because, as you know, it takes a village. And I have been extremely grateful for the support I have received over the last year. I'm tearing up just as I'm writing this, knowing that I couldn't go through all of this without my loved ones. And for myself, I am happy overall, still a work in progress, but grateful for life. The kids and myself have been enjoying life, and when we have the time and the money, try and take little trips here and there, so the traumatic events of the divorce don't linger and can be replaced by good memories. Memories where they spent road trips and adventures with their mum. Now for a few comments. Commenter 1 said, "I'm glad that you are now moving on. Did she ever try to reach out to you after? That man is a dog. I hope they never last." Commenter 2 added, "Wow. It's like, why didn't he just cut things off early and settle down with her? Like, why rob you of a partner that could love you the way you deserve? I'm so sorry this happened to you, but I'm happy to read that you're doing better. Hopefully things will get easier with time. I can't imagine co-parenting with someone like that long term. Ugh, are truly a gem, and I'm giving you such a giant internet hug, Ren. Am I the idiot for feeling betrayed after discovering my wife's secret group chat mocking me? My wife and I have been married for 15 years. I apparently surprised her by being capable of doing household chores and tasks, which I didn't think much of. My mom always asked me to help out with chores when I was a kid, so I didn't think it was beneath me or anything. I do think I inherited her need to clean excessively, like it's so bad that I can't eat until a mess is dealt with. My mom is an amazing cook. My aunt was a literal chef at a fancy hotel, and my dad loved having barbecues. It was pretty natural to learn from them and pick up a thing or two. The only thing I didn't pick up was how to make a decent cup of tea or coffee. I'm genuinely awful at it. It got to a point where I was handling most of the household chores and taking care of cooking, which I prefer anyway, since she comes home exhausted. I've been asking our children to do some minor tasks around the house and hopefully teach them this sort of thing too. She has a group of friends who hang out regularly. This time it was her turn to host the group at her home. I offered to take our children out for the day, and it was all set. Before we left, I had to finish up some things for work. The office space is practically on top of our living room, so I could hear what they were talking about the entire time. One of the friends asked how she always kept our house so spotless, and my wife just bragged about how she was responsible for it all. Then they all started talking about their gripes with their marriages. A common theme was how unhelpful their spouses were. I felt pretty uncomfortable, so I just left the office and went out with the kids. I came back after they had left for the night and acted as normal until we got to our bedroom. I asked her what was up with that conversation they had and pointed out that I did the cooking and cleaning in our marriage. She told me not to take it personally and that she just wanted to fit in with the struggles of her friends. Now I just feel unappreciated. especially since I don't clearly remember any genuine gratitude for what I do from her. Since then, she's been pretty short with me. She says I'm weaponizing what I'm doing against her and holding it over her head. I don't expect her to compliment me each time I clean or defend me religiously. Just a little. My husband is pretty helpful, actually. He does his share would be nice. I can't help but feel like her friends think I'm some sort of deadbeat who comes home to relax and neglect her. Now for the 2-day update. I'm pretty shocked this post went as viral as it did, and I tried my best to speak to my wife yesterday. I just can't believe that this is the woman I married. I tried speaking with her, telling her that what she did wasn't that big of a deal, but was still not a nice thing to do. She didn't like me bringing it up again and just told me to suck it up and stop bitching about one mistake. She apologized, but in a tone that just sounded like she was just tired of dealing with this. I noticed her getting very heated and on the verge of starting an argument, so I backed off and switched to a different topic. I asked if we could adjust our duties at home to be fairer for both of us, since most of our management fell to me. Then she got up in my face, telling me I had no right to lecture her about chore duties when I'm practically at home most of the time. She completely refused to hear me out and basically told me that what we have works best for our situation. She threw in my face that she was the moneymaker, and that balanced everything out in the end. Even this morning, she was pretty annoyed with me, coming downstairs in a bad mood. I'm very sure our kids noticed it too, but I drove them to school after they got ready. When I got back, I noticed that my wife left her packed lunch on our kitchen counter. So now I'm sitting here just feeling like the woman I've known for 15 years hates me. I guess I'll have to push this issue properly, even if she gets angry. She's been ignoring my texts and attempts to call her. I can't just let her act like this, especially in front of our children. Now for the next day's update. I think I'm just done at this point. I did something I never did before and went into her phone while she slept. We both know each other's passwords, so it wasn't really difficult. Some of the cheating comments got to me, and I felt pretty paranoid about this situation. Instead, I found a group chat with some of her work friends, different from the other friends she had over. It was just nonstop mockery of me and some of the stuff I did for her. She told them how embarrassed she feels to be with me and that I dote on her like a parent and don't feel like her husband. The lunches I pack for her are humiliating because I add sweets and other treats I know she likes. Some of her coworkers teased her about the snacks I have in for her, and she admitted to just throwing them out at work. She doesn't have any issue eating them at home, but at work, she throws out my baking. She had some choice words to say about me in her chat, some of which I don't have the courage to type out here. One of her meme pictures was of me on my knees, scrubbing a bathroom tile, edited to have some sort of dress on, like I was some sort of housewife from the 1960s or something. I just closed her phone and left the bedroom. I confronted her about the chat in the morning and the contents of it, which got her panicking. I focused on our kids this morning and left her to her own devices. It's not like she would have appreciated a kid's lunch anyways. Now she's texting me like crazy at the office, but I think I lost all respect for her and what she's become. Not only does she find me overbearing and embarrassing as a husband, but then I find out she mocks me to her friends and exposes some sensitive relationship issues to her group chat. This will probably be the last update since I don't think she can come back from this. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary last month too. I feel like a loser now after seeing what my wife actually thinks of me. Now for some added comments. A commenter asked if I am a stay-at-home father. I replied that we both work. She makes about $100K a year while I make around $70K. She earns more, but she's definitely not the only income in our household. What makes my job great is that my boss lets me have a lot of flexibility. So I can work from home and take care of the house and kids as long as I give him a heads up. Now for the final update. I know I'm going to get some hate for my decision at the end of this all, but I gave my wife one more chance. She gave me a real apology for her actions and how she treated me about 2 weeks ago. In her own words, she let her friends' comments at work and her best friends affect her too much. My wife wanted to feel included in the groups by playing both sides, one that has a useless husband and one that has a clingy husband. She's not using them as an excuse and did take full responsibility for how poorly she treated me, which is a plus. She suggested some sort of marriage counseling for us and insisted on doing the planning herself to show me she's dead serious about wanting to make this work. She's copied me in her communications with a counselor, but it'll still be a while before our first appointment. She's stepped up in the home too, doing more tasks without me asking. The compliments I used to get have also made a return, so I do feel a little more appreciated. My wife promised me that she wouldn't lie to her friend group anymore and give me the credit I deserve. The work friends I don't know about, their opinions on me will forever be as they are, even though she talked to them. Part of this feels disingenuous, since it took us getting into a bad spot for this to happen. Maybe it's just resentment talking. I just hope this works out for our sake and the kids. And no, she has not been cheating or had some guy in her ear telling her things. A lot of people are asking about that.